Hey, it's Johar. Welcome back to my channel, The Witchy Reader. So I'm going to be reading a snippet from my second novella, Callista's Adventures Greece vs. France. And in this one, Callista and Joan have formed a friendship. Because I know in the first novella I said that they were enemies. At this point, they had formed a friendship, and but they have more of a forbidden arc in this one. And there are feelings at this point, but neither one of them are willing to really admit it. But this one shows the feelings and how hard it is for them. And yeah, so this is chapter 9, Intimate. Okay, and I'm wearing, since this is a sapphic couple, I'm wearing my lesbian shirt. Um, it's new, by the way. There was a break in the war as the warriors needed to sleep and heal to continue. Joan rode to her farm as the sun rose. It was odd to battle at night, but Athena convinced Sequana it was the best way, and even though they are currently enemies, Sequana respected Athena's title as goddess of wisdom and battle strategy. But Joan is the only one to know the true reason. Not because Athena told her they are now enemies in the midst of this war as well, but has inside information, and that information is on Callista, a vampire. Only the Greek gods fighting the war and herself know of this, and they must desperately want Callista to be a part of this. Joan could understand why. She was the most powerful warrior outside of the gods themselves. But she also didn't want Callista to be in this war, not just because she puts them and their relationship at odds, but mostly because she knows how hard it is for Callista to control her urges, especially amongst so much fresh blood. She knows how hard Callista tries not to kill, and it's hard to be in this war. It's taking a toll on her. Joan could see that much. She saw the look in Callista's eyes, the look of horror, the look of despair. Calista had so much self-hatred inside her beautiful heart as it is. Joan was afraid what toll this will take on her mind. Maybe this could put her over the edge. The mere thought terrified her. Joan finally reached her farm, putting the horse in the stable. She was exhausted and in pain. She needed sleep, but she had to find Callista first and make sure she was all right. She wouldn't be able to rest or sleep until she did. But the problem is, she doesn't know where she's hiding out or how to find her. Joan wanted to at least clean up, maybe rebandage her wound. If she can figure out how to do that after she walked inside her house, uh, maybe rebandage her wound if she can figure out how to do that. After she walked inside her house, she walked into her bedroom, ready to collapse on the bed, but was surprised to see Callista sitting there. Callista lifted her head, tears streaming down her face. She hadn't cleaned herself off yet. She was slick with blood. Her hands were still a bit shaky as they were folded on her lap. I'm sorry, Callista apologized. Sorry, I flicked off the page. I had to find it again. Okay, continuing. I'm sorry, Callista apologized. I got your white sheet stained with blood. Joan shook her head. It's alright. Callista looked back down. I was going to go out looking for you. I'm sorry, I didn't have anywhere else to go. Hey, Joan walked over and knelt down in front of her, their eyes meeting. Stop apologizing. Callista swallowed a lump in her throat. I didn't want you to see me like this. I'm glad I did. You are? I'm glad I get to see all sides of you, and I want to be there for you. Callista looked away. Joan grabbed her chin, forcing her to look at her, not caring about the blood smearing on her fingers. You are not alone, Callista. You have me. I'm not good at letting people help me, letting people in. Joan smiled slightly. I know. Callista managed the tiniest of smiles. But I don't care. Callista tilted her head. Why not? Joan took her hands, transferring some of the red blood to her skin. Because I'm not going anywhere. I'm here with you, and I'm going to stay here until you let me in. I lost control. I know. It was bad. I know. I'm a monster. No, you're not. How can you say that? Callista asked. After all you witnessed me do. Because I've also witnessed the good you've done. Joan replied. You may have your issues. Callista looked away. Well, we all do. Your issues don't include being able to not commit murder. Joan sighed. That's true. Callista let another tear slip from her eyeball. But you have other amazing qualities that outshine the bad ones. Like what? Callista asked. You're strong, Joan replied. You're fierce, you're smart, you're funny, in a dry, full, wit and sarcasm sort of way. Callista laughed. Joan grinned at her, happy she was laughing, and happy she was the one that caused it. Joan's heart soared at the sound of Callista's laugh. It was so light-hearted, despite Callista being anything but. Joan squeezed her bloody hands in comfort. I've got you. Callista nodded. Surprisingly, I believe you. Let me clean you off. Joan stood up, still holding her hand tightly, but she groaned in pain. She held her bloody side as she doubled over, the searing pain of her wound shooting up and down throughout her body. Callista grabbed a hold of her, keeping her steady. You need that wound taken care of, Callista told her. Rebandage it and some healing medicines I've learned. Joan wanted to argue, but she was in so much pain that she just nodded in agreement. Callista led her to the restroom. She grabbed her hips and picked her up, sitting her on the counter. Their faces were inches apart, making them both nervous. Callista quickly pulled away as she went to get some ingredients and began making a homemade medical remedy. She returned shortly after. Joan felt weird about it, but she knew this was the best way for Callista to help her wound. Avoiding the vampire's eyes, she took off her shirt, leaving her in her bra. Lisa began to unravel the bandage that stretched throughout her body. She looked at the wound and nodded to herself. It had gone the right help after the initial stabbing, so it wasn't as bad as it could have been. Lisa put the stuff she mixed together on her wound. Joan winced. It was cold and it stung, but she trusted Lisa, so she remained as still as possible. After it was on, she grabbed a fresh bandage and wrapped it around her body tight as she could without hurting Joan, but helping her injury. After she was done, she did the same with the cuts in her arm, just to make sure it didn't get infected. Lisa looked away as Joan put her shirt back on and jumped off the counter. Neither spoke during this whole exchange, both being too afraid. Their voices were lost at the intensity of this moment. It was far too intimate for either of their liking, but they were not yet done. Joan grabbed a bucket and walked outside. She turned the water and let the bucket fill up. She walked back inside and into her restroom to find Callista sitting patiently on the counter. Her shirt was now off, leaving her in her bra. She had, as the blood had seeped through her shirt. Joan forced herself to keep moving. She dunked a rag into the bucket of cold water and began wiping the blood off her skin. She found it hard to look up at her, so she focused on the blood on her arms and chest, as she felt as if she felt as if her heart was in her throat. Once that was done, she was forced to look up, meeting Calista's blue eyes. They were wide and bright, as if staring into her soul. For the first time, she looked full of life. It felt like time had stopped, and they were the only ones in the universe. Joan held her breath as she began wiping the blood off her face. Most of it was around her mouth, but there was some blood splatter on her forehead and the top of her hair. Joan avoided Calista's eyes as best she could as she wiped the blood off her skin. She was finally done, and she stepped back, dropping the rag in the bucket of water. She had to stop her hands from shaking during the ordeal, and now that she couldn't stop them, she was finally breathing again, now that there was distance between them. Callista jumped down and took her hair out of its ponytail, letting it flow down her back. You might need to take a shower, Joan spoke, her voice low and shaky, to get the blood out of your hair. Callista nodded. I'll do that after some sleep. Joan nodded. I should go. The sun's up. Right. Joan walked into her room. We can both sleep. Just sleep here. I'll take the floor, Callista offered. You're the guest, Joan told her, and besides, I don't see why we can't both just sleep in the bed. We've done it before. I lost where I'm at. Okay. Callista brushed her fingers through her hair. I don't have an issue with that. I have some nightgowns you can change into with your bloody clothes and everything. I don't do dresses. You can deal for one night. Callista smiled. What about the battle tomorrow night? Sequina gave me some warrior outfits. You can use one. Okay. Joan turned around as Callista got out of her pants and put on one of Joan's nightgowns, the least girly-looking one. Joan turned around and smiled shyly at her. Callista returned the smile as the two got into Joan's bed, pulling the covers over them. They laid with their backs towards one another, feeling nervous and anxious at the events that just occurred. They tried to push it out of their minds as they closed their eyes and let sleep overtake them. And that's the chapter. I never thought I would write the one bed trope, but here we are. And I definitely love that chapter. I love the intimacy and how they both were trying so hard to push down the feelings that were growing inside them. But yeah, please like and subscribe and comment, and I'll chat with you guys next time.